friends, it's Miss Stacey and welcome to our rainbow playroom. Today we're going to do something really fun. It involves water and also some fun toys. Let's get started.
Welcome to Play, Play, Play. This is our magical playroom where everything is colorful and we have lots of fun. Here we are community. We practice kindness and we get to be ourselves.
Thanks for being here, friends. So what we're going to do is we're going to put different items in the water and see, does it sink or does it float? Let's check it out. Does it sink or does it float? That is the question. So let's start with this cup. Do you know what color the cup is? Green. Okay. It's floating. Wow. It's floating, but there's nothing in the cup. I wonder if we put water in the cup, will it still float? Oh, it's sunk all the way to the bottom. That's interesting. So when it's empty, it floats on the top, but when it fills up with water, sinks down to the bottom. If we had more water in here, it'd be hiding under the water. Although we'd be able to see it because the water is see-through. Okay, what about this shell? Will it sink or float? What do you think? Float! Wow! I wonder if we opened the shell and only did one half, would it still float? What about if we filled this part with water? Would it still float? It does! Either way, it floats. That's interesting. So when that one is filled with water, it floats, but when this one is filled with water, it sinks. Okay, what about a rubber ducky? What do you think? It floats. Do you know what sound a duck makes? Quack, 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 quack. This duck, though, it's not floating the right side. It keeps falling over. Silly duck. Speaking of ducks, I found this duck toy that's my dog's, and it's wearing a bikini. She's so beautiful. Do you think she's gonna sink or float? Whoa, splash. She floats too, so even though she's big, she floats. So it doesn't seem like size has anything to do with it. It can be small or big, and it doesn't matter. Here's something small, a rock. What do you think will happen with the rock? Whoa. Did you know that when it's dry, you can actually use the paintbrush and paint on here? Wow, we'll have to try it if it dries, or you could do this one at home. Speaking of paintbrushes, do you think the paintbrush or float or sink? What do you think? Let's test it. Ooh, it's floating. I wonder if with some of these things, if it takes some time and then it eventually falls to the bottom. I'm not sure. Let's try this one. This is a bowl, but it has these holes in it because it can go through. Whoa! So it spills out. Let's see, does this sink? Oh, that one kind of did it. It did it slower than the rock. Wow, so when it fills up, it sinks, but it does it slower than the rock. And maybe, I don't know. Let's see which one does slower on these ones. Oh, ready? Maybe about the same. I'm not sure. Here's an Easter egg. Floating! I wonder if we put something inside the Easter egg that makes it a little more heavy, if that will make it sink. So it seems like when something is heavy or full, it sinks, but not all the time. What do you think is gonna happen? It still floats! I wonder if the thing inside is not heavy enough. If you have an Easter egg at home, you'll have to try it and put something really heavy inside. Because I bet if it had a rock inside, then it would sink. Soccer ball. Ooh, this one's fun because watch. Whoa! And then it goes the other way. Whoa! You can spin in the water. Wow! It also floats. Look how many things are floating. We only have 1, 2, 3 things that sunk. Oh, and look. The paintbrush is trying to go in the cup. Convenient, because that's usually where I store it. Do you think bubbles will sink or float? What's nice about these bubbles are they're heavy, so it might sink, but I'm not sure. Let's see. No! Even though it's heavy, it didn't sink. Wow, our bubbles float. What about this ice cube, this pretend ice cube? Ooh, it sunk right to the bottom, just like our rock. Not as quickly though, because it wasn't as heavy. What about a carrot? Oh, yay! We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that sunk. Interesting. What about our pig squeeze toy? Let's see. She's a swimmer. She floats. Maybe she took swim lessons. So silly. Oh, just like our chicken. She took swim lessons. How about this ball of the world? Ooh, it floats. How about this wooden ball? Oh, interesting. I kind of thought this one was gonna sink because it's kind of heavy, but it didn't. What about this ball? All of our balls are floating. I wonder why that is. What else? We have this baby toy. What do you think? Will it sink or will it float? Floats. I wonder if it's underwater. Nope, just floats. What about our green beans? Ooh, it sunk right away, just like our carrot. I have a sponge, and here the sponge is really dry. Let's get it wet and see what happens. Ooh, it's starting to get wet slowly. Do you see it moving? Ooh, it's starting to sink a little. Do you see how it's starting to get wet all over? Takes a little bit of time. It's still dry here. But with the sponge, what happens is it gets the whole thing soon. Just a little spot left. And look, it expands when it gets wet. It gets a little bit bigger. It's floating. It's almost all wet. Wow, that was pretty quick, even though it did it slow. I guess our sponge floats. What I like to do with our sponge, whoa! We can give some things a bath. Let's give Miss Piggy a bath. So fun. What about this? This is kind of like a sponge, but it has a stick on it. It's actually another form of a paintbrush. What do you think? Floating. What about when it gets all wet? Nope, it still floats. What about some pasta? Ooh, look, it made little bubbles. That's interesting. What about this lion? Do you know what a lion says? Roar. Okay, kind of heavy. Let's see. Splash. Oh, the lion can swim. Wow, so many things are floating. Okay, I have different pom-poms. These little pom-poms, a big pom-pom, a baby pom-pom. Let's see, do we think they will float or sink? Wow, they're all floating. It doesn't matter how big it is or how wet it is, it still floats. What about this kind of sponge? Let's see how long it takes it to get all the way wet, if it's similar to this sponge. I don't think it's similar. It looks like it's just letting the bottom get wet. So let's see if we dunk it. Nope, it just sinks. I mean, it doesn't sink, just floats. I also like you can do, whee, here you go, Mr. Lion. This is a pool noodle that I made into little pieces because it's so fun when they're in little pieces. I think it'll float. What do you think? Whoop. Yep, it floats. Maybe if we put the lion on a boat. Let's try it. Ah, he fell. How about this friend? Whoa! Even though this friend, she is smaller, she sunk. She is kind of heavy. I wonder if it's when they're solid inside, when there's no air inside, if that's why it sinks. I'm not sure, but we're experimenting, friends. Ooh, what about this slinky? Rrp, rrp. See the smiley face? Rrp. It sunk! Yay! I like it when things sink because everything else is floating. Look, our egg after all this time, it's like it got tired and now it's sinking. I wonder why. I wonder if inside the egg where we had stuff, you see how there's these little holes? If the hole's filled with water, and that is why it sunk. Yep, so the holes let the inside fill with water, and just like our cup, it sunk. What about this little spider? He sunk, even though he's teeny tiny. And a boat. Boat, boat, boat. I hope the boat doesn't sink. Burp, 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 burp. To the rescue, to the rescue. Ooh, I think one day we're gonna have to do some pretend with this play water. So this one is really fun, watch. Whoa, do you see those bubbles? Squirt, 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 squirt. So it floats, but I wonder if when it's filled with all the water inside, will it still float? No, so this part's heavy, but this part floats no matter what. So if this part has water in it, it sinks. But if there's no water in it, it floats. So watch, it's like a straight line. We'll fill it with water, and it goes down like that. Interesting. Beep, we got you, lion. Ooh, what about our unicorn friend? I actually made this. Let's see. Sink. She's a sinker. What about this? Let's see, as it fills with water. Cool, we got to see it sink. It waited until it all got wet and then it sunk to the bottom. Okay, what about this? This is like a sponge. Let's get it all wet. Yay! It sinks. It sunk. This little flower, it's made out of foam. It's floating, but what if we get it all wet? Will it still float? It still floats. It just turns upside down. Interesting. What about our cute little doggy? Ruff, 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 ruff. Ah, she sinks. Here's another one of these little toys I made. Let's see. Oh, sinks. It looks like an underwater volcano. What about this bucket? I wonder if this bucket has a similar thing as this cup, where if it doesn't have any water in it, it floats. But as the water fills it up, yep, it sinks. It's just like our cup. Cool. Okay, I wonder if the same thing that happens with the cup is gonna happen with this bowl. Floating bowl. Let's see, fill it with water. Sunk bowl. Wow. Last things, this one. Whoa, I wonder if all of our pom-poms, yep, they're still floating. And this, it was supposed to be holding our things for the egg, but I bet it has the same thing like these cups and bowls. Let's see. Let's see if it floats by itself. Yes, and if we fill it up, wow, friends. That's so cool. So it's fun to experiment with things and figure them out and test it and see what happens. What happens when I squirt? Can I squirt it really far? Can I squirt it down? Can I squirt it up? What about, can you paint with water? Can you get some paper that doesn't get messed up, or maybe even the sidewalk, and make a picture with water? When it dries in the sun, can you still see it? Can you use the bubbles even though they've been in the water? Can you give someone a bath and clean it with soap? Ooh. Can we have an underwater tea party for our friends? There's so many things we can do. Thanks for figuring that out with me. That was so fun. Ooh, I wonder, will this float on this? Nope. Okay. Thanks so much for playing with me. That was so much fun. I can't believe how many things floated. And then the heavy things sunk. I wonder why some things sunk and other things floated. I wonder if you can do this at home. You might be able to do it even when you're in the bathtub or when you're in the swimming pool. Check it out and let me know what happens. Bye!